Hey guys, welcome back to the cabin. I'm Robbie.
Norman.
And still no, I'm Johnny.
Well, reality sucks. He's got to take care of real life stuff first.
That's alright. He'll be back next time, I believe. So,
I hope so. I kind of miss him.
in the Christmas spirit again, what we got, Norm?
All right. Would you consider this a cryptid or not? Christmas elves.
I don't know if I'd consider that a cryptid, but I definitely consider it myth or something mysterious.
Yeah, I'd go with that. A mythological thing.
Yeah. Which, I mean, that's still in the realm of the stuff we deal with.
I thought it would be an interesting subject for the holidays, especially
Yeah.
Christmas coming up.
Yeah.
Old Saint Nick, the great jolly elf himself. And I thought we'd talk about his helpers.
Let's talk about the little toy making folk called the elves.
Alright, here's a little information I got. I got about 5 pages worth. There might be a little more than that. Alright, here's some stuff I pulled off of Wikipedia. With industrialization and mass education, traditional folklore about elves waned, but as a phenomenon of popular culture emerged, elves were reimagined in a larger part based on romantic literary depictions and associated medievalism. Okay, big fancy college words.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah, it was. All right. You know, elves have been part of history for a long time, and I didn't realize they'd gone as far back as Romans, and they did play a part in Norse history as well. In Germanic history as well. Elves were very popular as being good guys, bad guys, females, and I didn't know this.
Now, before we go, let's just for clarification for myself and maybe some other people out there, we're not talking about the Legolas from Lord of the Ring elves. We're talking about more fairy type folk. Little folk, or little people as they would be.
Actually, be a combination of both. There are some that are very little folk, and some that have been considered Legolas type.
Because those type of elves are usually like 6.5, 7 feet tall. Because, I know obviously Orlando Bloom's not that tall, but in the books, I believe Tolkien described Legolas as, I want to say about 7 feet tall, maybe.
Elves were tall and
Tyler,
slender.
can you check on that and see if it gives that?
Interestingly, if you go by fantasy world, there is so many different type of elves and their heights ranging from 3 foot to 7 foot, to high elves, low elves, waterborne type elves like mermaids, mers.
So mer people are technically elves?
Yeah, wood elves.
What it says, Legolas was over 6 feet tall. It doesn't give an actual height, but it just says he was over 6 feet. So
Okay. And then Christmas Santa Claus's elves were probably about 3 to 4 feet.
yeah, so I mean that's what most of the movies and things you see depict them as being.
And I think in even most popular shows I've been watching, they've been even maybe 12 inches, 6 inches to 12 inches for an elf. So their range heights is fascinating. It goes into all sorts of depictions.
You always kind of think of that as like whoever is making the movie or writing the book. That's kind of like what do you call it? Creative liberty.
Yeah, creative liberty for sure. But the other thing I was going to say was, did you know elves were known for sickness or illness?
I didn't know that.
A lot of cultures associated illness and that with elves, but our elf, the Christmas elf, is associated with toys and happiness and joy.
Yeah, making toys.
Yeah.
Santa gets the list, hands it to the elves, says, "Okay, this is what little Johnny wants." Sorry, Johnny. He's not here. We got to pick on him. But this is what little Johnny wants. you make this 458 SOCOM out of, magic and wood and paint, and all of a sudden he's got a Bear Creek Arsenal 458 under the tree.
Exactly.
Because of Christmas magic.
Of course. All right, here's a little history on the good elves that we're going to talk about, our Christmas elves tonight. As American Christmas tradition crystallized in the 19th century, the 1823 poem, A Visit from St. Nicholas, widely known as "'Twas the Night Before Christmas," characterized St. Nicholas as the right jolly old elf. However, it was his little helpers, inspired partly by folk tales like the Elves and the Shoemaker, who became known as Santa's Elves. The process through which this came about is not well understood, but one key figure was a Christmas-related publication by the German-American cartoonist Thomas Nast. Thus, in the US, Canadian, UK, and Ireland, the modern children's folklore of Santa Claus typically includes small, nimble, green-clad elves with pointy ears, long noses, pointy hats as Santa's helpers. They make the toys in the workshop located in the North Pole. The role of elves as Santa's helpers has continued to be popular, as evidenced by the success of popular Christmas movies. Example, Elf.
Buddy wasn't that small of an elf, though.
No, he was not. He was kind of big for a small elf.
Buddy was a little special in more than one issue, though. Of course, when I think of my favorite Christmas movie that's got to do with elves is Santa Claus, Tim Allen. I love that movie. They got kids to play.
Oh, that
the
was
elves.
awesome. I like that movie.
That's one of my all-time. It's not Christmas until I've watched all three of the Santa Claus movies.
But then also you got to look at Rudolph. With the elves in there.
Yeah.
And any of the original Rankin Bass movies with Santa Claus in it and the elves in it, those are pretty good, I think, descriptions of elves.
I shared a meme with D.A. and Anthony and Doc the other day talking about the Rankin Bass. It's a picture of Burl Ives as the snowman. It said, for 40 plus years, I've seen this guy singing about Christmas, and I don't even know what Burl Ives really looks like, and I'm not going to go to Google his picture and ruin my Christmas memories because of that.
You
but I
know
think,
him, honestly.
Oh, I'm just saying that was just a meme I found. I thought it was funny because
was it round glasses, big burly mustache?
The snowman actually did look a lot like he actually looked. They drew the snowman and based it on his actual look. But it was a funny thing that somebody put that up there that for 40 plus years that's I don't even remember what Burl Ives really looked like, and I don't want to ruin my childhood by Googling the image of what he really looks like. So
was he one that did the diabetes commercials?
No, that's Wilford Brimley.
Then I got him confused.
Yeah, you're Wilford Brimley with Quaker Oats was the diabetes guy. Diabetes.
Okay.
I want to talk to you about diabetes. That was Wilford Brimley from Cocoon, and I think he was on the Waltons too.
He played the
he's been in a
TV
lot
series for a little bit as a sheriff or something.
Yeah, I can't.
It was like a murder mystery thing. There was 2 or 3 shows he did. It was pretty cool.
Yep. Tyler can't look it up for you though because he don't know how to spell Burl Ives.
B-U-R-L is Burl. And then Ives, I-V-E-S. All right, going back to talking about Christmas elf. In English-speaking cultures, a Christmas elf is a diminutive elf that lives with Santa Claus at the North Pole and acts as his helper. Christmas elves are usually depicted as green or red clad, large pointed ears, with wearing pointy hats. They're often depicted as humanoids, but sometimes as furry mammals with tails. Santa's elves are often said to make the toys in Santa's workshop and take care of his reindeer, among other tasks. They were first introduced in literature by Louisa May Alcott in 1856. Santa is much older, emerging in U.S. folklore in the early 17th century from St. Nicholas as attributes of various European Christmas traditions. especially from English Father Christmas, Dutch Sinterklaas. The association of Christmas presents with elves has precedence in the first half of the 19th century with the Scandinavian Nice or Tomat, and St. Nicholas himself is called an elf in A Visit from St. Nicholas. Alright, the origins of elves are said to have been derived from North mythology, which refers to the Alfar, also known as the Hulderfolk or hidden folk. The elf character is most likely to have combined this Norse legend with other Scandinavian and Celtic cultures and myths regarding elves, fairies, and natural spirits. In various regions of Europe, there were similar supernatural beings that could be connected to elves, such as kobolds from Germany and house spirits named brownies in Scotland.
I've heard of the brownies. I've heard Doc talk about brownies. Little small people.
Yeah, the brownies are supposed to be helpers. They do good things around the house.
So-
You're supposed to leave them
So
stuff.
I guess leprechauns too in Ireland would fall under that category too then.
Yeah, except they're mischievous more, leprechauns. You know, brownies were basically good spirits.
Well, what I'm saying, they would fall under that category of elves or elvish
probably.
people, the elvish folk.
But if you said that to an elf and told them that a leprechaun was an elf, they'd probably get mad, as well as the leprechaun would probably get mad confirming them as a leprechaun, as an
Kind of
elf.
like the dwarves and the elves used to get in fights.
Yeah.
Gimli and Legolas.
In medieval Europe, elves were seen as nefarious and often linked to demons.
Well, Tyler just pulled up something about the demolition elves. Can you pull that back up, Tyler?
Demolition elves?
Yeah. I was looking at it a minute ago when you were reading. Then we got off on the Burl Ives thing. You know, we went down another rabbit hole.
Oh, this is interesting. Let's
Yeah.
see.
I'll read it. It says the demolition elves is a name given to no box.
Diminutive.
The demolition elves is a name given to a global apparitions of diminutive beings seen directly before or after mass disasters, resembling creatures of European folklore like gnomes and pixies. They are sometimes seen in conjunction with more contemporary phenomena such as UFOs. They have allegedly been sighted worldwide on significant occasions, seen by multiple people at a time. In the United States, the demolition elf folklore is regarded or relegated to the fringes of the historical record, occurring only in legends and in paranormal authors' accounts of events such as the Silver Bridge collapse and the collapse of the Twin Towers. In Iceland, the elves are recognized as a legal presence with a right to a territory and a voice regional development. The elves are associated with certain rocks which must not be moved or touched. In past construction work that went ahead despite the elf sightings and warnings from seers have met with catastrophe.
I've actually heard something about not moving rocks in certain things in some cultures. Japan is very big about that, where you're not supposed to move certain things or certain items.
Well, Krista and Brandy were talking about that one time. I think it was on a show that I was on. They were talking about, moving certain rocks or certain other elements that spirits can attach to you from things like that. So I guess this is probably where some of that came from.
Very possible. Sounds it. That's interesting. I never knew there was demolition elves, but
Tyler says they were seen during 9/11, and soldiers reported seeing them in Afghanistan and during the Vietnam War. A lot of soldiers reported bad stuff from moving rocks in Cambodia. So apparently this is not just this is kind of a worldwide phenomenon.
interesting.
Because, difference from Afghanistan to Vietnam,
It's a long time.
yeah, I mean,
And distance.
geographically and on the timeline too.
Yeah.
Because but a lot of people don't realize that. You think Afghanistan, you just think about the desert. You don't realize that they've got their Bigfoot legends too, the Barmanu. There's and we say it all the time. all these things that are myths and legend, they're based on something true.
Exactly. There's always some truth to it. All right. Well, let's go back to our good Christmas elves. We didn't worry about nothing happening bad with them, unless you're a bad kid, you might get coal from them. The Christmas elf appeared in literature as early as 18. Oh, I already talked about that. No, I didn't. Yes, I did. Well, let's cover it anyhow. The Christmas elf appeared in literature as early as 1850 when Louise May Alcott completed but never published a book titled Christmas Elves. The image of the elves in the workshop was popularized by Godley's Lady's Book, with a front cover illustrated for its 1873 Christmas issue showing Santa surrounded by toys and elves with the caption, "Here we have an idea of the preparations that are made to supply the young folks with toys at Christmas time." During this first widely circulated picture of a modern Christmas tree on the front cover of its 1850 Christmas issue, additional recognition was given in Austin Thompson's 1876 work, The House of Santa Claus, a Christmas fairy show for Sunday schools. And like I say, they also say that, like I say, Saint Nick is an elf.
Yeah.
But he's also popularly.
But he's also based on a real person or a real saint.
Correct. He is a German saint.
Yeah, Saint Nicholas.
Saint Nicholas. In an 1823 poem, A Visit from Saint Nicholas, most commonly known today as 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, often attributed to Clement Clarke Moore, Santa Claus himself is described in line 45 as follows. He was chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf. Prior to the influence of St. Nicholas in Sweden, the job of giving out gifts was done by the Yule goat. Interesting. By 1891, the saint had become so well known that he could no longer be ignored. He needed... Hold on here, folks. My paper is sticking. He needed to become merged with Tomtin, which was previously an elfish, dwarfish farm guardian. I guess that must have been the goat. Following the work of Jenny Nystrom, this hybrid figure became known as Julumton. Excuse my pronunciation.
I would say if that's probably Norse, it's probably Yultman.
Okay.
Because J's usually are pronounced as Y's.
Okay.
Or Yultolman.
Okay.
You know, we're not Danish, so.
Or Swedish. Here we go. In the United States, Canada, Great Britain, and Ireland, the modern legend of Santa Claus typically includes diminutive elves at Christmas. Green-clad elves, pointed ears, pointed hats, as Santa's employees and / assistants. They make the toys at Santa's shop located in the North Pole. In recent years, the other toys, usually high-tech toys like computers, video games, DVDs, DVD players, and even mobile phones, have been depicted as being ready for delivery but not necessarily made in the workshop as well. In this portrayal, elves slightly resemble nimble and dedicated versions of the dwarves of Norse myths. So they're starting to replace them, outsourcing them, it seems.
Yeah, I've always wondered how the elves made those little things, and I've always wondered if elves were Chinese, because everything's made in China. It seems like nowadays. So I wondered if the North Pole moved to China at times.
Well, there's some movies that they want to talk about. I'll mention some of these movies that elves have been shown in.
Yep, there's my favorite movie, or one of my favorite movies.
Which one's
Santa
that?
Claus.
Oh yeah, Santa Claus. Those are always good.
Yep, you got Fred Claus. That was a good one. I saw that one. Of course, we've already mentioned Elf, Buddy the Elf.
I hadn't seen Fred Claus. Was it pretty good?
Yeah, that's the one with I'm drawing a blank. In Wedding Crashers, Dodgeball.
Okay.
It was in Jurassic. It was in Jurassic Park, The Lost World.
My mom watched one today. It's called
Tyler, help me out here.
The Santa Incident.
Look up Fred Claus.
Santa Claus accidentally got shot down by the U.S. military. And then a Secret Service agent was looking to arrest him for being an alien.
Vince Vaughn. I don't know why I couldn't think of that. Yes, okay. Vince Vaughn. Fred Claus is supposed to be, I think, if I remember, it's been a long time since I've seen this movie. The synopsis, he's Santa Claus's brother, and he's kind of like, almost like a mafia hitman type. It's pretty funny. Here's the synopsis. Baby is born within a few minutes of his birth. He starts saying, ho, ho, ho. Mrs. Claus calls her son Fred over to meet his new baby brother, whom she names Nicholas, and lovingly refers to the baby as her little Saint Nick. A rift starts among the brothers when Nick cuts down a tree that Fred often climbed, and he confides his problem in a bird. But Nick accidentally smashes the birdhouse it lived in, which causes the bird to fly away. So basically, it's just a little backstory of Nicholas and Fred. So apparently they had a troubled childhood and didn't get along. And I think roll back up to the cast again. I think roll back up to the cast of the movie again. Yeah, Paul Giamatti plays, which is funny guy, very funny guy. He plays Santa Claus.
I might have to watch it.
Yeah, it's worth a watch. I mean, it's not one of the Christmas movies that I have to watch all the time, but it's pretty funny. I mean, like I said, the Santa Claus and of course A Christmas Story. There's no Christmas elves in that, other than the two girls at the mall that are pushing kids down the slide. But that's still a Christmas movie you got to watch.
Oh yeah.
It ain't Christmas till you watch the Santa Claus and A Christmas Story.
Of course. I always thought watching Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer to me was...
Oh, yeah, when we were kids, but...
I'm still a big kid.
Well, true, but...
Comes to Christmas time, you gotta watch all the classics.
Then you got Jingle All the Way. We said Elf. Jack Frost, the one with Michael Keaton, not the one about the sadistic snowman.
Let's see, you got One Magic Christmas. There's no magic. There's no elves in that one.
Oh yeah, and we got to mention Nightmare Before Christmas because there's a lot of people who think that's one of the greatest Christmas movies ever. Two of them sitting in here in the room with us.
Let's see, Santa Claus the movie. And like I say, Santa Claus. Father Like Santa.
I don't think I've seen that one.
Okay, now then there is Elf. Prep and Landing tells the tale of an elite group of elves that make a house ready for Santa's deliveries. I think I've seen that one. It was at Walt Disney's anime. The Rise of the Guardians, that was an anime.
Yeah, that was about all the
spirits and holidays.
Like they had Jack Frost and Santa Claus, Easter, kind of the same ones they had in the Santa Claus, but it was it was an animated movie and it was a little bit different. But I think Jack Frost was the main one in that movie. That's a pretty good little movie.
The Christmas Chronicles? I ain't seen that one.
I don't think I've seen that one either.
Christmas Chronicles 2. Ooh, there's one.
Taylor's saying it's terrible anyway, so maybe we shouldn't watch that one.
There's just a couple that have elves in it. Let's see, The Year Without a Santa Claus, Rankin Bass movie.
Well, we're talking about elves, and
there's elves in that one. There's primarily.
I never thought that I would be able to tie this into anything, but one of my favorite YouTube channels is called So Bad It's Good. Jason Brandt, he's actually wrote a couple books too. Hilarious guy. They do a show called So Bad It's Good, and they watch some of the worst movies out there, and him, his wife, and a couple of his friends, and people send them movies. Well, there is an actual movie called Elves, and it stars none other than Dan Haggerty. You remember who Dan Haggerty is? Grizzly Adams. He's in this movie, and it's funny that when you read this, and you're talking about the German tie-ins with this. Basically, the synopsis of this movie, and I'm giving you synopsis, folks. You don't have to go out and torture your eyeballs with this movie. But basically, the elves were what Hitler was trying to use to bring about the perfect race. And there's incest and all kinds of stuff in this movie. So it was one of those so bad it was good movies for them. But it's a movie about elves, and it ties into the Nazis. I never thought I'd be able to tie that to anything else, but when you said that and we started talking about the movies, I was like, I'm going to have to mention that one.
Okay.
It was weird.
Sounds it.
Very weird.
There's a new one out called Elves, but it deals with a creature of the forest. They're known as elves. I didn't watch the whole thing. I just caught bits and pieces, but they're carnivorous. They're usually kept behind a fence.
Well, these elves in that movie were carnivorous because it bit a couple people's fingers off. So. But you remember the little meme that was going around of Hillary Clinton when she was doing the whoa thing like that and throwing her head back?
Yeah.
Yeah, this thing actually looked like her caught in. It was like a hand puppet, and it was caught in that one. It looked. They even said that on the movie. They even put it up side by side with it. That was the funniest thing of the whole movie, was them comparing Hillary Clinton to this little elf. Look at that. That was worth the watch just for that. So if y'all want to check that out, it's Jason Brandt. So bad it's good.
I'm gonna have to check it out on YouTube.
Yeah, he reviews all kinds of movies. They really like their Steven Seagal movies. They really like to bag on Steven Seagal, which is fine in my book.
I used to like Steven Seagal.
Yeah, I did too. Then I finally grew up and realized that he's a fraud. But anyway, that's another rabbit hole for another type of show.
Another show.
Anthony, Doc. So.
I think we've covered it tonight, folks. If you got any questions, complaints, suggestions, thoughts, leave us a thing on Facebook.
I think we upset Tyler talking about Steven Seagal. He said that's sacrilege.
I think we broke your daughter's heart about elves.
She ain't listening to it. She's got her earbuds in. She's doing research.
I think our possible new projects got her excited.
Yeah, she's doing research on the new project. But anyway, folks, if you want to get in touch with us, you can send us an email at what'sreallyoutthere2022. That's all, no apostrophes or anything like that. Just all basically one word. What's really out there 2022 at gmail.com. Also, you can get in touch with us on our YouTube channel. You can see most all of our videos on the YouTube channel. It's What's Really Out There. Norm, what's some other ways they can get in touch with us?
You can also get in touch with us on Facebook. We have a What's Really Out There Facebook page. You can direct message any of the staff on there. You can leave a message on the page. Whether it's a complaint, you got a story to tell, you need some help with something, you need to talk to someone. We're there for you. And we have people and friends all over the United States that can assist you. We're not just in South Carolina, but just about all over the U.S. now, that we can help you in some way, shape, or form with your cryptid, paranormal, ET type problems. You know, we got the shoulders and ears to listen and the legs to come out and investigate if that's what it takes. We're here for you. We're here to listen, not to judge. You know, we're the people we hope you can turn to.
Yep. So, Norm, you got anything else from the
No.
Christmas elf?
I'm just going to say Merry Christmas, folks, and have a Happy New Year's.
All right, folks. We'll see you. That's all from the cabin. See you later.
Night all.